The Streets of Old Milwaukee was really innovative at its time, 50 years ago. It was an immersive exhibit in a way that really people hadn't seen before, where you walk through the exhibit rather than looking at it through a window or across a fence or something like that.
They want you to feel, to touch, to see. That's why the lighting is set the way it is, and the floor is set the way it is. And the idea that you can walk up to a window and almost voyeuristically look in and see what people are doing.
We wanted to stay true to that idea. We wanted to give people more of what they love streets for already.
Don't you change my Streets of Old Milwaukee. That ownership came through, and we understood that. I mean, many of the people here in the museum that work here, we grew up here, so we understand the idea of this is our place. These are our things. So when people would call us and say, don't change my exhibit, we get it.
There was a fairly significant challenge in figuring out what was the balance between preserving the old and introducing new ideas into the streets. In my notes, when I was first doing ideas, I have this line in there. It says, some sort of immersive entrance, kind of like Narnia. The Streets of Old Milwaukee is another world for people. A world that did exist at one time, unlike the fictional world of Narnia, but it really is this experience of going to another time, another world. Al Muchka, who is our curator on this project, was talking to me about modes of transportation at that time. And he mentioned streetcars, and I was like, that's it! That's the way that people get to the Streets of Old Milwaukee. It's a streetcar to Old Milwaukee. The first time I walked through with the animation and the bumps under the streetcar and that whole view really was a magical moment. And I think that visitors are going to have that same sort of experience, that it's going to kind of blow them away and set them up for that immersive experience we want them to have on the far end.
Some of the new things that are coming about for the exhibit really rest in a refreshed interpretation. Instead of just letting people come in and observe, we're going to be adding an actual interpretation based on several themes. And these themes then are reflected in the object choices. And that's really what makes everything connect. And that's what really helps me as a historian bring things to life.
We didn't want to put signs everywhere. We didn't want to use kiosks in the windows. So what we came up with was a very innovative app. The app knows where you are in the streets. It's using beacons to be able to tell where you're at. And so it responds to you depending on where you are in the streets. As the themes change every 6 months, you'll see changes throughout the streets. The app guides will change, the headlines at the newsstand will change, some of the sounds in the soundscape will change. So you can come back to the Streets of Old Milwaukee again and again and get a new experience. Milwaukee around the turn of the last century was a very industrial city, and we wanted to emphasize that with some of the new buildings that we built. We have the Falk Steel Factory. We have a garage where streetcars get their maintenance done. We have a lumber yard.
The interior of the Blifford Lumber, or rather the Northside Lumber and Fuel office, actually did come from their original building. The Blifford family have really been involved with the museum probably since the early 1920s. The folks at Blifford were so happy to be able to contribute that material, and that really does, again, feed to the meaning of the Streets of Old Milwaukee, that it is our exhibit, it's our gallery.
The Milwaukee Public Museum is known for its Easter eggs hidden throughout the museum, little things which only the most observant people will find.
Abby is one of the few new taxidermy pieces in the Streets of Old Milwaukee. She's going to be kind of in a dark area, fairly high, and then the idea is when you walk past a motion detector, there will be a sound effect. And then we're hoping that people will take their cell phone light and look and see that she has eyes that reflect, just like a natural animal would reflect, and that gives the illusion of the retina glowing back when lights hit it.
She's been sitting in the streets since 1988, I believe, this particular figure. And basically what I'm doing is freshening up her face, cleaning up her hair. She's gotten very dirty over the years, and she's got some new eyelashes, and she's gotten her eyebrows tweaked here, a little bit of a new hairdo. She'll be going back out in a few weeks when she's finished, and hopefully she's gonna look good.
We wanted to allow visitors to get even closer to the streets of Old Milwaukee, and that meant going in some of the buildings. We've opened up the Nickelodeon, so it will be open almost all the time for visitors as they come through. We've opened up the general store as well. We've created a glass box that is almost invisible to the visitor, so you can walk inside the store and see all of the fabulous artifacts that are contained within. In the new area of the streets, there will also be a Sendik's fruit cart. Sendik's wasn't a giant store at that time. It was one guy pushing around a fruit cart and selling to men and women of that era.
When you are looking at these things, we're able to make sure that the objects really come forward and keep making the Streets of Old Milwaukee and the collections yours. Although we really want to be historically accurate and we really want to make sure that people understand the history of the times and the issues that were going on, really, if you think about the Streets of Old Milwaukee, it is the romance of 1900.
We had a very compressed timeline to complete the Streets of Old Milwaukee within its 50th anniversary year, and that couldn't have been done if we didn't have the passionate and talented team that we do. Everybody just poured their energy and their creativity and their experience into this project, and it's been a real joy working with each and every one of them.
I'm really very happy to be able to be part of that and part of a long chain of local history lovers and historians and designers and artists. The people that worked on this, they were all from here, and I'm happy to be part of that because I'm from Milwaukee too.